You Are Not a Machine, Gadfly Academy. Mugs, hats, shirts, and so on. So I'm going to read the first half of the blog post. The title, I think, was something like, Is Capitalism Christian? ? And as I read through Kingsnorth's book, just realized that capitalism is an important topic. We don't often maybe think about the economic system that we live with, but obviously it's going to have an effect on our lives, the way we think about money, the relationships that we have to money and through money to our wider community and world. So it's not insignificant, and I think it's an important thing to consider. So I start out, as I often do, with a quote from page 42. Here's the quote: "The values of that machine are now so ubiquitous that we treat them as if they were as natural as rain or wind. Progress, openness, an objection to limits and borders, therapeutic individualism, universalism, the rejection of roots, place, and history, pure materialism, the triumph of reason over superstition, scientism, commercialism, and the primacy of market values. All of these go to make up the unseen and unquestioned value system within which we live and to which we feel there is simply no alternative." Some of you may recall, until about a month ago, over on the Gadfly Academy Substack, I was blogging about human versus machine values. If you're interested, you can find a link in the show notes. Our world runs on the machine values, as well as the other ones that Kingsnorth enunciates above. And to the extent that we live by them, we live according to machine rather than to human or Christian values. Although never perfect, the value system that once animated Christendom, both East and West, was one largely inspired by the Gospels. Unlike earlier Christians, I would argue that for most of us living in the modern West, our daily lives are more informed by machine values rather than by Christian values. In the coming weeks, I'm going to engage with these machine values from the perspective of Orthodox Christianity. I had not expected to write about capitalism, but I now realize that capitalism is, in a sense, the elephant in the room and probably our culture's most sacred cow. Although Kingsnorth doesn't say it explicitly, capitalism is the main engine running the machine. If there is such a knee-jerk reaction to critiques of capitalism, it's largely because the only alternative people think of is communism or socialism. It's important to remember that there are other alternatives to capitalism. There are many different ways to organize labor and governance, including subsistence economies, gift economies, commons-based systems, steady-state systems, and so on. And capitalism and the capitalism and democracy that we know in the West is simply one of them. As such, it's worth taking an honest look at the history of modern capitalism, how it was built, what it replaced, and whether or not humanity is better off because of it. I'm not foolish enough to attempt to tackle all of this in one installment, however. So this week I will confine myself to beginning to clarify the value system inherent in capitalism and what it replaced. Before going any further, however, I'd like to make 2 points. One, many people write off critiques of capitalism with the argument that it's the best option we have, and even if we wanted to change things, we wouldn't be able to. The reality, however, is that groups like the Amish have largely managed to protect themselves from the worst ravages of capitalism. Although it's difficult to imagine something different, an alternative path is possible. And if our situation is as dire as it seems, at some point it may be a necessity rather than simply an option. Two, I'd like to make it clear that I'm not a proponent of any political or economic theory. I don't believe that there is a quote-unquote Christian version of either of these. Christ's kingdom is not of this world, and ours should not be of this world as well. I'd like to take a critical look at capitalism because of the incredible influence it has on the day-to-day lives of Christians, and because of a lack of clarity when it comes to politics and economics. Here are some of the quotes from Kingsnorth's book, some of his insights into the effects of capitalism on the development of the modern world. And before I do that, let's see, I don't know. Let me see, make sure that we are, I think we're live. The enclosure process in early modern England was intimately linked with the rise and subsequent global dominance of modern capitalism. So that's from page 45. From page 47, taking away people's, quote, comfortable partial independence, end quote, and substituting it with the, quote, precarious condition of mere hirelings has been the working basis of machine capitalism worldwide since the 1700s. The next quote is from page 50. The reality is that machine capitalism did not, quote, evolve from small-scale artisan or peasant societies. They had to be destroyed in order that it might replace them. And the next one is also from page 50. Enclosure was easy when the landed gentry ran the show and made the laws. England became a capitalist country, Chesterton writes, because it had long been an oligarchical country. And the last quote is from page 51. It's from G.K. Chesterton. 9 times out of 10, an industrial civilization of the modern capitalist type does not arise wherever else it may arise, in places where there has hitherto been a distributive civilization like that of a peasantry. Capitalism is a monster that grows in deserts. Industrial servitude has almost everywhere arisen in those empty spaces where the older civilization was thin or absent. Sorry, I'm just double checking something. Okay. So those are some of the quotes from Kingsnorth's book on capitalism. As I said, he doesn't explicitly talk about capitalism as the main engine. He might say it explicitly. I can't recall. I don't recall him saying it, at least. Obviously, he recognizes that it's incredibly important. So I'm going to spend the rest of this installment looking at the value system that's inherent in capitalism and distinguishing it from the value system that it supplanted. In our next installment, I'll look more closely at both value systems so as to help clarify why most of the values of capitalism are so at odds with those of Orthodox Christianity. So what are the values of capitalism? They are not quote unquote Christian values, and when pushed to extremes, they become anti-Christian values. Here are some of the core values of capitalism. Individualism, competition, private property, profit-seeking and growth, meritocracy, efficiency, productivity, consumerism, innovation, disruption, freedom of choice of market, instrumental rationality, utility over meaning, commodification of life, short-termism, moral neutrality of markets. In contradistinction to the values of capitalism are the pre-capitalist, feudal, distributist values of the medieval world, which include collectivism, social embeddedness, hierarchy, mutual obligation, communal stewardship over property, sufficiency, stability, ritualized labor, qualitative rather than quantitative contributions, asceticism and temperance, tradition and continuity, obedience and socially embedded freedom, moral and spiritual rationality, meaning over utility, sacred and non-commercial value to work, long-term intergenerational orientation, and the ethical embeddedness of the economy. So if you look at those values, it's good evening, Randall. If you look at those values, it's easy to see how capitalism, with its emphasis on individualism, and then on things like efficiency, speed, rather than community, the social kind of embeddedness of value and of work. How once you start down kind of that path, it's a bit of a slippery slope towards what we have today, which is a hyper-individualized, individualistic, and hyper-capitalist market-driven economy, and that is not the economy and political system that came out of the Middle Ages in the East or in the West. Those who were more involved in capitalist type practices were looked on with suspicion, and were always kind of those kind of profit driven tendencies were tamped down by social kind of pressures, because they were, older generations were wiser than we are, and realized that if you let the market kind of run without any kind of check, that you can get a kind of situation that we have today, where a lot of the power and the money are end up in the hands of a few multinational corporations, and so anyway, I'm going to continue to look at capitalism, and in particular vis-a-vis Orthodox Christianity. Again, I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm not suggesting that that we do have some kind of other economic situation, although there are other situations that would seem to work better, would be more animated by the spirit of the Gospels and Christ's commandments, and the kind of worldview and economic systems that came out of the early church. So it's worth looking at, because obviously we are very affected by the economic system that we find ourselves in. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or questions, but I will continue to do this. I'll publish a new blog post on Friday, and then I'll discuss it on Monday. If anyone wants to join me at 7:30, that'll be the last one before Thanksgiving, and then we'll go, I guess, live again on the following Monday. But on Thursday, I'll do the chronological book study of Kingsnorth's book, chapters 7 and 8, I think. So I think that's it. Unless anyone has any thoughts, I will call it a night. As I mentioned at the beginning, the merch store is open. It will be open for a few more weeks. So if you want to support this work and maybe get a head start on Christmas gifts, clearly I'm not completely anti-capitalist, otherwise I wouldn't be selling my wares. But have a good week, and I'll see you again maybe on Thursday evening at 7:30. Good night. Thanks for being here, Randall, and anyone else that's out there.